Welcome to Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. We are welcoming in the new year. We did a show last year, so this is our second show of the year.
Hmm.
Gosh, boy, and before that we hadn't done a show since last year. Gosh,
I
man,
know. We've been
huge
lazy.
break. Yeah, yeah. We are going to jump into the tearjerker, something for Joey. And I'm not talking about a baby kangaroo here. I'm talking about a human being, Joey. Give you a little background about this. Something for Joey was written by Jerry McNeely. Do you know where Jerry McNeely was born?
No.
Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Hey.
And he went to Southeast Missouri State. Very cool. Um, he he's known for not only doing writing, but he also did some acting. He did a lot of character acting. Some of his more famous roles are in Owen Marcia, Counselor at Law, Lucas Tanner. He actually got his PhD and was a full professor teaching speech at the University of Wisconsin. So this writing
Cool.
and acting thing kind of just became a side hustle for him. And he stuck around with us until 2014, and he passed away at the age of 86. It was directed by Lou Antonio, and Lou Antonio was a promising baseball player, which really interests me because I promise you I was once a bad baseball player, so you can see the similarities there. Um, but uh, as a teenager, as pro teams were scouting him, he had an injury that derailed his baseball career. So he started looking into the arts, and he became an actor. Some of his more famous roles were in Cool Hand Luke, America, America, and the TV shows Dog and Cat and Making It. And Making It, I do remember it had David Naughton in it from America Werewolf in London. So that was,
Oh,
and David Naughton also sang the song Making It, which was the song for the show, but also became a chart hit.
interesting.
I'm way too nerdy. Um, he Lou had directed episodes of The Flying Nun, The Rockford Files, Picket Fences, Dawson's Creek, and The West Wing. So he had a long career. That's just a smattering of things he did. He did everything from comedy to serious stuff. And he is still with us at the age of 91.
Good for
Are
him.
very good for him. But he's not from Cape Girardeau, so hey,
Oh, well, boo.
not everybody can be from Cape Girardeau. So our actors in this movie is Mark Singer plays John Cappelletti. And to go into a little bit of a background of John Cappelletti, when I was growing up, I would watch John Cappelletti play football for the Los Angeles Rams. He was a fullback. So
Oh,
I did,
you're familiar with the actual player.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But when I was a kid watching, I had no idea any of this happened. So to me, it was just, oh, there's a guy with a funny name who plays for the Rams. So, but anyway, this movie is about John Cappelletti and his relationship to his brother Joey. Mark Singer plays John Cappelletti. Mark Singer, most famously known as Laurie Singer's brother, Laurie Singer from Footloose fame, not the remake, the original. He rose to fame in the 80s in the Beastmaster film. So those of you who are into sci-fi, who are into the Beastmaster series, that's Mark Singer. He was also in If You Could See What I Hear, Body Chemistry, High Desert Kill. He was in episodes of Simon and Simon, Dallas, one season of Dallas, and he was also on Murder, She Wrote, along with a lot of other smaller parts. And he is still with us at the age of 78, but he no longer plays football players. So I don't know what's
What's
wrong
the
with him.
problem?
And his sister is still Lori. So anyway. Joey Cappelletti is played by a very young Jeff Linus, and this is right after he shed the blanket. Ha ha ha. Jeff Linus was a Canadian child actor, and he didn't do a whole lot. He did Lies My Father Told Me and Breaking Point. and this movie, and that's all I could find on him. He is now a producer and a production manager working in the film industry in Canada, and he is still with us at the age of 56.
Cool.
Uh, Geraldine Page plays the mother, Anne Cappelletti, and you know where she's from.
Yeah, The Rescuers. She plays Madame Medusa.
I was going to get to that, but where was she
Oh,
born? Kirksville, Missouri, where Evelyn and Max went to college.
no kidding.
Yes,
Huh.
yes. Um, she's from Kirksville, Missouri. She is best known for The Trip to Bountiful, which she was the Oscar winner for Best Actress in 1985. She was also nominated for Hondo, and she was also in Pete and Tilly, the Pope of Greenwich. I got the Pope of Greenwich Village. The Pope of There's a difference between a Pope and the Popo. I mean, you don't want to be caught by either of them, but anyway. And also, as Tabitha said, she was Medusa on The Rescuers. And if you've not seen The Rescuers, it's a great Disney movie. Overlooked, overlooked.
Yes,
Um, she died in 1987 at the age of 62, just 2 years after winning her Oscar.
I
Um,
know. Isn't that a bummer? She barely
yeah,
got to enjoy that.
yeah. Here's your Oscar, and here's your casket. It's sad. So, um, John Cappelletti Sr., the father, is played by Gerald S. O'Laughlin, and he is best known for Ed Riker on The Rookies. So I guess you know who he is.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Okay. Okay. I didn't put that together.
he was also in Roots: The Next Generation and a TV series called The Blue and the Gray, which you may not know about, but your mom was a huge fan of it.
What was that show about?
It's about soldiers in the Civil War that are friends and family that are on both sides of
My
the
mom
con.
watched that?
Yeah, yeah, she
Huh.
actually bought the book. I don't think she ever read it, but she actually bought the book. Patrick Swayze, that was his breakout role, was in The Blue and the Gray. That's
Crazy.
yeah. Where am I at? And Michael Cappelletti, I'm not going to mention him anymore, but I am only mentioning him because he is played by a very young Steve Guttenberg, best known for the Police Academy films Three Men and a Baby, Three Men and a Little Lady, Diner, Cocoon, and one of the movies that I watched as a kid called The Chicken Chronicles. Now, I think that was his first film, and he has a starring role in it. If you want to be if you want to know what it was like to be 11-year-old Vince, watch the Chicken Chronicles and try to put together why they keep smoking weed, why they are playing basketball with chickens, and why they are trying to get laid all the time. And I'm trying to process this in my 11-year-old brain because when I was little, I would just walk through the movies with my friends every week for 75 cents. Nobody cared. They didn't say, hey, you can't go see a rated R movie. So we went to go see it. My friend Barry, whose dad was far more religious than my mother was, Barry got into the movie by telling his dad, it's a cartoon. No, it wasn't. But anyway, it really is a fun movie to watch, The Chicken Chronicles.
Wait, one more. This is important to my childhood. He was the dad in the Olsen twins Parent Trap riff, It Takes Two.
Really,
Mm-hmm.
that's how far he slid. So, um,
I watched that movie. The only Olsen twin movie I watched more than that was How the West Was Fun.
wow. What about the one where they're going to leave their butt prints on the moon?
That was part of their mystery series. Those were like 30-minute videos. Totally
They,
different than a feature-length movie.
So Tabitha was a little girl about this tall, and she'd be watching this, and they're singing, "We're gonna leave our footprints on the moon." And me being the stupid goober dad I was, I'd say, "We're gonna leave our butt prints on the moon," just to make her laugh. And now she's embarrassed to have me as a
He's because
father.
he is so mature, and it was right that he had a child with that level of maturity.
Remember when you were 3 years old and I taught you Birdie Birdie on a pole opened up his little butthole and pooped on all the people below?
Yeah, and mom was not amused.
Not abused. You know, that her minister husband told her 3-year-old daughter this little joke that she told all the church kids. Yes.
And
So
Mean Gene made a machine.
JoJo made a go, Art let a fart, blew it all apart. Um, what I loved about Steve Gutenberg, hadn't heard from him for a long time, although he was on a episode of High Potential last year. But Steve Gutenberg, during the LA wildfires, they were going out just last year and interviewing residents, and they're interviewing him, and they have no idea who he is. And then which people they, check on your neighbor, blah, 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 and your name is, and he says Steve Gutenberg.
Wow.
Pretty funny. And he went on Jimmy Kimmel based on that. It was kind of funny. Uh, Mr. Gutenberg is still with us at the age of 67, although his house was consumed by a fire last year.
Oh,
This movie aired April 6, 1977, when I was 10 years old. So, and it was up against ABC's Beretta and the Barbara Walters special, and on NBC, CPO Sharkey, which I think had Don Rickles, and Serrata's Court, which was a pilot, which I'd never heard of, and Kinston Confidential, which I'd never heard of either.
don't know
Um,
those. And
so
it's actually pronounced Baba Wawa.
Baba Wawa, yeah.
Okay.
So, so this is our movie, and in the opening it says that it is based on actual events, which is true. It is narrated by John Cappelletti's sister-in-law, which I thought was kind of weird until you find out that she's been keeping a scrapbook of all this. So,
Oh, I was gonna ask, I'm like, did she write the biography or something? Why is she narrating this? She's barely
uh,
in the movie.
yeah, I think it was because, they were explaining that in the movie, explaining, she's been keeping this scrapbook with all of his clippings and everything.
Mm,
And so I think she had a keen interest in the story, and that's why her character narrates it.
okay.
And the movie opens with John Cappelletti at Penn State football practice. And at this time, he is a defensive back. And his little brother Joey is watching from the sidelines. And at this time, those of you who are football historians would know that Joe Paterno, the legendary coach, is the head state of Penn State, is the head coach of Penn State. And he greets Joey and invites him to the locker room. This has not aged well for those of you who are familiar with Penn State and Jerry Sandusky and all the sexual misconduct that was going on in the locker rooms at Penn State at that time. Um, but the movie doesn't address any of that, thank God. So,
Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to point out the LA Rams. Boo, you traitorous bastards.
you barely even knew there was a football team here called the Rams.
Uh-huh, because they won the Super Bowl one year when I was in grade school and everybody was excited.
Okay, all
And then
right.
they left and went back to LA.
Yeah. So, as they're watching practice, there's a guy watching and asked Joey, who he's there for. He said, my brother, John Cappelletti. And the guy says, I've never heard of Cappelletti because he's the defensive back and he's freshman or a sophomore at that time. And Joey says, you will. And then there is a shot of the bleachers, and the narrator introduces the whole family.
All
Um,
27 of them.
yeah, yeah, big Italian Catholic family.
So
And
many
this is
kids.
Giuseppe. Yeah, Giuseppe here. So the next scene, they're at the house, and John and Joey are wrestling, and Joey hits John with a steel chair and then jumps off the cage. Oh, no, wait a minute. They're just wrestling. And mom breaks it up because Joey has to go to the hospital. And John asks his mom if she is okay. And she says Joey is fine as far as she can tell. And he's, no, mom, I'm talking about you. And then dad comes home, and John says that he is home to write a paper where he can have some privacy. And he lives about 4 hours away from Penn State. And so he's home so he can get some homework done. which is funny now because football players don't do homework. The one
They
football
can't.
player,
They've been concussed too often.
well, uh, one of the quarterbacks, I was listening to the news, went to the transfer portal and he's getting paid $5 million to switch schools. So times have changed. So,
Oh, and
uh,
by the way, no disrespect to Geraldine Page, but how did she have Joey? She looks 60 and Joey's like 8.
I don't know. So anyway, I hadn't thought of that. So, uh, Dad comes home. John says that he is home to write a paper so he can have some privacy and that he's going to go back in the morning. And then Mom kind of snaps at John and she reveals that she is on edge because Joey asked her to promise he wouldn't have to go back to the hospital. All you got to do is say, son, I can't make that promise to you. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and she says, at times like this, I wonder if we did the right thing. And Dad says, we did, and you know it. And John says, hey, what are you guys talking about? And Dad tries to blow him off, but John coaxes it out of his dad. And his dad said, the doctor said when Joey was diagnosed with leukemia, and this is the first time we find out what Joey's problem is, that there were two options. Number one is to keep him comfortable and let it run its course and maybe have about 6 months. Or number two is do this experimental program that they've been doing. And the only promise with this experimental program is that there would be pain. So that's their dilemma is they're keeping him alive, but he doesn't have much of a quality of life. He's in a lot of pain. But the parents, they chose to continue the program and kind of put hopes on that. So I get that, man. That would be an impossible decision for a parent to make. Let it
Yeah,
run its
absolutely.
course and keep them comfortable, or try this experimental thing. We have no idea what it's going to be, but pain.
Yeah.
Um, so John volunteers to take Joey to the hospital, and then Mom and Dad hug because Italians hug. We're Germans. We don't hug.
No.
Oh,
9.
nein,
Stand
nicht
back.
du hugging me. So, so I'm joking. We hug in this family. We're bad Germans. Once, once, once me and Kathy,
We
we were in St. Charles one evening, just kind of hanging out, walking around, seeing stuff, and this drunk guy comes up and wants to give me a hug. Hey, I have a hug. I said, nah. He said, are you a snob? I said, no, I'm German.
did you really say that?
Yes, I did. So,
Yeah, our ancestors were kicked out of Germany for hugging. That's yeah.
yeah. So on the way to the hospital, Joey asks about playing defensive back, and John says that he wants to run the ball. And Joey says, but you're not good enough to run the ball. That's why you're a defensive back.
Whoa,
Oh, hey, Dominic.
Scully, out, out.
Hey, Mondo. Hey, Scully.
Sorry, that my dog just barged in here. So
And my cat was in here before we started recording. Thing is going to the dogs and the cats, I'll tell you. Um, so Joey's telling him that he has been put back a grade in school, and he says that he can catch up. When he catches up and he gets older, he's going to play high school football when he gets older. So that was like the first scene. It was kind of tame in the hospital. So the next
now
scene, we
for those like me who don't understand football, what does a defensive back do?
a defensive back. Basically, all defensive players are trying to stop the other team from scoring. A defensive back covers receivers. So when the quarterback throws the ball to a receiver, the person covering the receiver is the defensive back. They're either a cornerback or a safety, but they're all defensive backs.
Okay.
So so the next thing they're at a Penn State game, and every time there's a game, if the family can possibly make it, they make it. And Joey always makes it to the game. He's very proud of John. And they drive home. The drive home was always a letdown for Joey. You know, on this emotional high watching your brother play big time college football and the drive home, where the parents probably have Buck Owens on the radio and your 1972 station wagon with no air and no seat belts.
Stuck between your two sisters.
Yeah, yeah. If your kid
Or
will
was that
stop,
you?
a freeze pop. So one day on the way home, Joey complains that his head is hurting and his fever is up. They decide to take him to the hospital in the morning. Dad says, well, perhaps we should take him to the hospital in the morning. Times have changed, and today's one would say, we're going to the
You're
ER.
going now. Yeah.
Um, so Joey is at the hospital, and we find out that he's been going through treatment for 5 years. And sometimes the exams are pretty simple, pretty standard. Sometimes they're very painful. But for mom, the narrator explains they were always painful, waiting to hear the results. And that's kind of mom doesn't work outside the house, which a lot of women didn't do in the early 70s. So this has kind of become her life. Take care
Hmm.
of Joey, take him to the hospital, pray the results are good. So back at home, dad asked how was the hospital visit. And she says they kept him at the hospital. He has chicken pox. And the problem with the chicken pox is that it's depleting his white blood cell count. So he's having trouble fighting the chicken pox and the leukemia. And all they can do is try to get the fever from getting too high. So dad says that we need to get home, John home from college because this is serious. So we're back at the hospital. Joey's in critical condition with a 105-degree fever, which I think I maybe hit 103 a couple times in my life. 103 is bad enough. I couldn't imagine having a 105-degree fever.
No, I don't think I've ever gotten that high.
Oh, that, yeah. Good.
Did
So
Evelyn? Because that girl got sick all the time when she was a
I don't
baby.
think it was ever up to 105. 103 sounds about as high as it got. But yeah. Well, after we started beating her for having high fever, she quit. So
Good. Teach her a lesson.
yeah. So John arrives at the hospital and he goes to Joey's room to talk to him. And he says, they got you on ice like a can of beer. And Joey says, it feels good because I'm hot, like the women cheerleaders at your game. Ah, okay, he's not a pervert. Um, and Joey needs some blood transfusions, but he has to have it from people who've had chickenpox within the last 2 weeks. In today's world, that would be very difficult, but chickenpox were kind of common before the vaccine for chickenpox, and they're going to be common again, being we're getting rid of all the vaccines. So it kind of works in a circular way.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't history great when we don't learn anything?
Yeah. So they have to find a donor. And I was thinking about this. It's not like you can just put an ad on Facebook and say, hey, anybody had chickenpox? We need a blood transfusion. That had to have been
Yeah.
very hard. But uh, Joey and John's dad, he finds a donor, and it's a I guess late middle-aged lady who's had chickenpox, and she's very, I'm glad I could help.
I was
And
touched by that. Just the stranger coming in to help this child because
yeah,
she could. Yeah.
yeah. So Joey is in a coma after the transfusion, and the doctor comes in and says that the cancer is in remission due to the chickenpox. It and the mom says, but the other doctor says that this is just a temporary thing, not to get your hopes up. Then dad tells mom, I'll stay here with him. You go home, get some rest. So back at home,
Yeah,
John gets up.
I was gonna say I saw that happen on an episode of House. It was part of the medical mystery, but supposedly there was this faith healer, and he touched one of the cancer patients, and her tumor shrank. And they were like, "Okay, well, he's not a real faith healer because that's not a thing. So why is he making the tumor shrink?" And it was because he had a virus of some sort, gave it to her, and that actually bought her some more time. So
Ah,
I just thought it was really interesting.
very good. Not very good because faith healing, stupid, but
The episode was very good.
so
It's called House versus God.
really.
Yeah.
And who won?
They tied. They decided it was a tie.
Okay. So,
I'm
so
serious. They put up a count on the whiteboard and they tied at the end.
wow. So dad sends mom home, and back at home, John gets up in the middle of the night to get him a drink from the refrigerator, and mom is sitting there in the dark, in the dark. Come on, pages, separate. And John
In the
says that
light, you
he,
said?
what's that?
Light, you said? I'm kidding because you said in the dark 3 times.
Oh, in the dark. Okay. John says that he is worried if all the kids in the family, like John and his two brothers and sister and Giuseppe and everybody, by the end of the movie, there's 28 kids just roaming around this house. John says he is worried if all the kids are doing enough for Joey. And mom says that and John says that he's feeling regret because he's off playing football while this is all going on. And mom says, God has given you the gift to play football. And then John asks a very pointed question: what has God given Joey? And that has been a very prominent feature in my faith journey in life. People who point out all the stuff, they get a new car. Oh, look, God got me a car. Yeah, but what about these kids who are dying of cancer who didn't do a thing? Well, God still loves them. Life is serendipitous, and to say God has given you the ability to play football, you naturally have to ask the question, okay, what's God given Joey? And I thought it was a pointed question, something that I would have naturally asked.
Yeah.
So
I don't have an answer for that. It is an
I
interesting
don't
question.
either. And I've got 6.5 years of theological education. So, and no one I've ever met really has the answer to that. You want to know what it's like to go to seminary? You ask a lot of questions, you get out, and you got even more questions. That's all it is, okay? Then you learn to hold people's hands when they die. That's it.
It's like that you've seen Dogma, right?
Yeah.
There's a line that oh, what's her name? Uh I guess it doesn't matter. One of the characters,
Tarantino.
no, Janine, Janine,
Oh, Janine Garofalo.
yeah, when she's saying that like faith is like a glass. When you're a child, the glass is small, it's easy to fill up. The older you get, the harder it is. Same amount of water does not fill up the glass.
Ah, that is. I'd forgotten about that, but yes, that's true.
Mhm.
So, mom kind of gently scolds John for saying that, but admits that she has had the same thoughts. And she said that she's been praying that Joey will just stay alive, but tonight she's going to pray that Joey dies so he won't have to suffer anymore. And that's showing she's at the end of it. It's very tough to watch your kids suffer at all. Like the time you got stung by the wasp and I thought someone was abducting you, and I run outside and you got stung by a wasp. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, you want to take away the pain, but you can't, especially in a situation like this. So in the morning, they're cooking breakfast, and mom tells John and her daughter that she prayed Joey would die last night, and God told her that Joey is going to survive this crisis. So it's nice that God is talking to her at least, taking time out of his busy schedule to talk to her about Joey. That is pretty cool. So the next thing, they're at the doctor's office, and the doctor says that Joey might not get out of this coma. And the doctor suggests that they put Joey in a home while he's got this coma. And the family says, no, 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 no. He's coming to our home. We will take care of him. Nobody can do anything for Joey, so he might as well come home so we can take care of him. The doc doesn't think
Yeah,
there's a,
I thought the doctor was kind of a little dismissive in this scene. Because they asked her like, well, what can they do for him in a home? And he says that's not really the point. And I'm like, no, I think that's exactly the point. You know, no families, well, I guess most families, I should say, are not going to want to dump their sick child off in a home and then go off and forget about him, you know?
Yeah, but when you encapsulate this in the time period, it's at the end of that time period when institutionalization of any family member that was an inconvenient was kind of the norm. Yeah, kids have behavioral problems, you send them off to a military school or some kind of a boarding school or something like that. Um, and I think the doctor represented the old school of thought. Well, of course you put him in a home,
Yeah.
because there's nothing you can do about him at home. And the family was kind of representing the new idea that, hey man, we can take care of him, we we want to take care of him.
Yeah.
So the doctor doesn't think that there is a chance that he will wake up, and the family, they kind of take an informal vote that they're going to take him home. So back home, John has his bag packed and he's getting ready to go back to school. And he looks in on Joey, who's laying in the I guess it was the dining room, and he's comatose.
And
And
he is not hooked up to anything. There's no IV, there's no feeding tube, there's no monitors. He has to be getting nutrients somehow, otherwise he would just lie there and starve to death. Did, that really
would you
bothered me.
stop poking holes in this movie?
That bothered me. I'm like, where are the lines? Come on.
I don't. Maybe they like shoving mush down his throat and making him eat. I don't know. Uh, so anyway, John tells Joey that he won't be seeing him for a while because he has to do spring practice, but tells Joey, you hang in there. And rudely, Joey doesn't answer him. All right. He just, give me a feeding tube, please. So,
I'm so hungry.
yeah. So at football practice, we find out that Coach Joe Paterno is going to move John to running back. So he is going to get to run the ball. Not only is he going to get to run the ball, he has won the job as the starting running back. Um, and Cappelletti, when he made it to the NFL, he became more of a blocking fullback. He didn't run the ball much, but in college, he was a heck of a runner. Um, so next thing, John goes back home. The family greets him, and John greets Joey, who's still in a coma, and tells Joey he is now the starting running back. And Joey starts to move his fingers a little bit, and John's like, "Mom, uh, has he moved? No, he's not moving. So look at his fingers." And soon there's even more movement. So he's coming out of this coma. But as the narrator describes, he was kind of like a baby that he had to relearn everything. So the entire family is working with him and working with him. And his first words after being out of a coma, he's out of a coma for a while, but his first word was finally mom. And as the narrator said it after he said that, he wouldn't shut up. And
Hmm.
within a few months, he was pretty much back to normal, which astonished his doctor. And for the doctor's severe mis oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Underestimation of the family takes the doctor out and shoots him. The finger returned. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm glad they switched to just malpractice suits since then.
yeah.
They thought execution was a little harsh.
So that summer, John wanted to be home with Joey instead of being on campus. So he and his dad built a snow cone stand so he could make money during the summer while staying home, which I think is funny now because they just gave a quarterback $5 million to switch colleges. It's like,
And I thought, I'm like, why don't you just go out and get a job? Why do you have to build your own place of business just for a summer job? But okay, whatever you want to do.
there's money in the snow cone stand. Oh, so John takes Joey for a stroll in the park. Literally, he's in a wheelchair, so kind of walking around the park. And Joey wants to put John in the wheelchair and switch positions. And John's like, are you sure? And Joey says, yep, that's what I want to do. So they switch spots. Joey gets him back and pushes John, and John's enjoying it for about 5 seconds, and then Joey falls down, and John gets out. Oh, are you okay? Okay. And Joyce jokes with John that he was just imitating John carrying the football, which I thought was kind of funny. And John tells him about the Heisman Trophy, and because he says, you could win the Heisman. What's a Heisman? So, best football player in college football every year gets a Heisman Trophy. So Joey hugs John, and I have in my notes right here, Vince cries. Okay, so the next scene in the yard, they're having a cookout, the family is, and John and Joey come to the yard and say they want to show the family a trick. Joey walks, or John walks to the other side of the yard, and he says, this trick is called walking. And Joey walks across the yard to John as the family looks on in astonishment. And he makes it, they cheer. And Joey tells his dad, because his dad's really happy, he tells his dad that he wants to play Little League Baseball. What red-blooded American kid doesn't want to play Little League Baseball? Truth be said, this guy who is just a few years from being a senior citizen, I still want to play Little League Baseball. But every time I show up to play Little League Baseball, the police show up and take me away. I guess it's a little weird. So John is packing to go back to school, and mom tells him that she wants him to stay at school and concentrate on football. He'll sit there and just football, football,
Stare at
football.
that ball.
No classes, no dating, nothing, just football. And he says I don't want to just do that. She says, no, that's what Joey would want you to do because Joey likes to see you play. So you make that your mission. And then we have the narrator come in, and she said that Joey was put into special classes for the neurologically impaired. And while his friends are going to the public school, he has to get on a bus and go to this school. And as he's getting on the bus, he tells his mom that the only day worth a darn is Saturday, which in college football is game day. So
Oh,
the
I was
next,
just thinking that that's true in general. Yeah.
oh yeah, it is. So um, the next scene, we're at a game, and it's just a montage of clips of the real John Cappelletti from real games running the ball, which is cool. And the team is doing really great, and John is doing awesome. And, the narrator's talking about that. And then the next scene, Joey's at home and he's reading a headline from the paper about John. And so he starts to cheer with mom's, give me a C. And mom's, I don't want to do it. Well, finally she started, so they spell Cappelletti. And then he says, let's do what the papers call him. The papers, yeah, oh, Cappy. And Joey says, what is that? She says, that's why. I said, why can't I remember a why? She said, because you're in a coma, you dumb kid. She didn't say that, but so we have some more game clips, and the narrator, that's when she's talking about how she started keeping a scrapbook of all John's clippings because she had a secret crush on him and really didn't care about his brother. Wait a minute, what? What? So
That's in the
anyway,
sequel.
yeah, that's in the sequel. Something for Joey's sister-in-law.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
So we have more game clips, and his name is starting to become a household name. And after one of the games, Joey's in the locker room, which is a bad idea at Penn State. I've already went through this. And he has this linebacker friend. John has this linebacker friend, and he's kind of giving Joey crap. He's kind of a the cool friend character. So the next scene, we're back at the hospital, and Joey is talking to his friend Mark, and he asks Mark, "Why do we have to come here when we're not sick?" All right, I don't know, just a kid like you. And the doctor is talking to his mom, and the doctor, it's a new doctor, says that I'm worried about his reflexes. And she tells the doctors something about, that's because blah, 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 when he was in a coma. The doc said, what? I didn't know he was in a coma. And he asked about his meds. I didn't know he was on those meds. Yeah, that's what's causing this reflux thing. And mom
Right.
has
I'm
all,
so glad nothing has changed and
yeah,
doctors don't look at records before they talk to you.
yeah. So
Hmm.
mom has all of his medical records detailed in a notebook, every fever, every pill they've given him, and everything. And the doctor's amazed at his diligence. Now, I have been to the doctor before, and the doctor's asked me something. I'm thinking that's got to be in your notes because I told you in my last visit here. But yeah,
But when I was pregnant, the last few weeks when I was having problems, and I saw my OB, I went and I had the extra um ultrasound, and then I went to my next appointment at the same office. I just saw a different OB. Had no idea any of this was going on. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to explain the whole thing to her again. I'm like, but this is my normal office. It shouldn't be hard for you to get a hold of my file.
yeah. When I go to the doctor, the first thing that the nurse does is sit there and types everything in. You know, what are you here for? Blah, 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 blah. How you feel? Blah, 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 anything, blah, blah, blah. And then the doctor comes in. Hey, what you here for? I come here every 6 months because I got diabetes and a bad heart. Remember, doc? Remember me? Huh? So, uh,
Uh,
no, my doctor never watches this. My doctor retired, by the way, so I got another doctor and I haven't met him yet. So,
oh, well, then who
anyway,
cares if he watches it?
now I really did like my doctor, but there were sometimes I was like, oh, I know you're busy, but maybe if you read this stuff.
Mm,
Um, anyway, the next scene is Christmas time, and John says that he has to leave because his team was playing in the Sugar Bowl, which at the time was one of the four major bowl games. And John sends Joey to bed, and the family says that they're going to go to the bowl game, and Joey will be going and he will be fine. And John is then talking to his brothers, one of whom is Steve Guttenberg, who has like two lines in the whole movie. And John says that it bothers him that he is so lucky and he regrets that Joey has it so rough. And I mean, I get that. I think that would be any normal siblings deal. I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure my sisters all the time said, Vince has it so rough because he's so dadgum stupid. But anyway, the Sugar Bowl comes and it's a New Year's Day game, and John misses the game because he has a virus, and Penn State lost. And I mean, it's John's fault. It's
Yeah.
John's fault.
Yeah.
Don't be a wimp. Go out there and play with a virus. So anyway, and anyway, if you download Norton's, it can get rid of that virus. So it's it's the spring in the next scene, and Joey is playing Little League baseball like he wanted to play, and his dad's the coach, which is pretty cool. And Joey does have some obstacles to overcome due to the issues that he has physically, so he's not a good baseball player. And his dad's his coach, and mom explains that dad's going to every kid has to play in every game, and dad's going to put Joey in at right field at the end of each game. And that is traditionally where you put the kid that is the least athletic. You put him in right field for the last two innings of the game.
That's probably where I was when I played T-ball that one time. And the best part of it was that scrumptious dugout dirt.
My favorite thing was when you were playing Little League soccer and you accidentally kicked the goal. Do you remember that?
No, I just remember I hated soccer.
Oh, yeah. You never wanted to go in. There was a whole scrum around the ball because that's how Pee Wee soccer is. You know, there's a ball, there's a bunch, and you're in the middle of the scrum where you didn't want to be, and you just kicked, and the ball just kind of rolled into the goal, and everybody starts yay, and you went like, get out of here! I don't like this. So
The only sport I remotely enjoyed playing was basketball. I actually did that a few times because that was fun.
you were tenacious on defense. Yeah, you were in
Thank you.
the face. Um, so the next scene, we're in the trainer's room at Penn State, and John has an article that Joey wrote in the school newspaper about John, and he's reading it to his buddy, the linebacker. And next scene, we're at a baseball game, and it's late in the game, and Joey is up with the bases loaded. Um, and he needs to come through so they can win. But he struck out and they lost. So he comes home very pissed, like any kid does. I mean, in Little League, that's what you do. I wanted to be a hero and you come home. So Joey comes home and opens the refrigerator. He starts bitching about the flavor of soda that he likes isn't in there, and they always have the wrong flavor of soda. That he says nobody listens to me, and so Dad spanks Joey, and Joey cries, and then Dad hugs him. So Joey said that he is crying not because Dad spanked him, but because John is going to come home and not be impressed with his baseball skills. So I'm going to quit. So Dad starts reasoning him. John is going to want to know why you quit. What are you going to tell him? Well, uh, uh, so he tells his dad that, or dad tells him John wouldn't quit. He's like, but John was good. No, John worked hard to get where he is, and he wouldn't quit. So Joey decides not to quit, which is really touching. And this all happened because his dad opened up a can of whoop ass on him.
Well, it was a very gentle spanking. Like I think you probably hit harder than that when when I was little.
Me, me and my pillow spanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
sorry
also
to,
I appreciate not just in this scene, but through the whole movie that Joey can have a temper and regular kid emotions. Like I feel like a lot of movies about terminally ill kids will have them be this perfect angelic little cherub, but these are still just kids
oh
with
yeah.
normal emotions and they're going to express them like every other kid will. So I appreciated that.
He's at an age now where he's got to be asking himself the question, why me?
Yeah.
Why me? Why are all my friends that I've grown up with, why are they still in public school? Why are they still living normal lives? And why am I in this situation? Um, I I I think considering what he's going through, he's handling this very mature. And not just him, but like I said, I used to be in the ministry. Um, Kids tend to handle this stuff a lot better than adults do. Um, I've seen kids with cancer. I've seen kids with other physical ailments, and they generally roll with the punches a lot better than adults do. Um, and I went to a hospital room where this lady had been in a horrific accident. She was comatose. Her head was swollen to twice the size. It was very it, it was disturbing to look at her. And I and then I out there talking to the family like, why us? Why us? I don't have an answer to that. Life's just messy. I'm sorry.
Well, in Joey's case specifically, he was diagnosed so young, he probably doesn't remember anything else. This is
Yeah.
just his life. But that also reminds me, I was watching an interview with Paul Michael Glazer's son Jake one time, who's an adult now. So he was an adult when he gave this interview, and he says he remembers asking his dad, "Why did this happen to us?" And all he could tell him was, "Well, why not us?" That's all he could say to him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So the next scene, we're at another ball game, and John is there watching Joey, and Joey's up the bat, and he gets a hit, and he drives in the winning run, and he yells at John from the field, which I thought was cute. You think you're the only star in this family, Yo-Yo? This is a couple times he's calling him Yo-Yo in this movie, which I think is just a euphemism for you son of a bitch. So anyway, the next scene, we're at a bar, and John is there with his brother-in-law and his brother-in-law's wife, possibly John's future lover. We're not sure, but anyway. So John orders a diet drink because he's cutting weight because the coach said to come in at 212 pounds and he's weighing 213 at the time. Anyway, so they're just talking, and John wants Joey to be able to get to his games, but he's worried because the pain is getting worse. And John says, one of my teammates was telling me that he had a spinal tap once, and these are athletes, and he said it was the most painful thing he's ever been through. And Joey gets spinal taps on a monthly basis. Um,
They
and
gave when Dominic was a baby, when he was 6 days old, and he had to go back to the hospital, and they gave him a spinal tap, and it was Mondo and I couldn't watch. It was the most horrible thing, but they had to do it to rule out all these infections. But oh God, he was 6 days old, and
yeah.
it broke our hearts.
Hmm. So John does say that he doesn't know how Joey or mom holds up to it. And then the narrator speaking, and she's saying that Joey got a trophy that year for being the most courageous ball player, and that the medicine made his hair fall out, and he started wearing a sock hat during the summer, and then he kept wearing it because when his hair grew back in, it was very curly. So
I thought it looked so cute, and he
I
was
did too.
embarrassed
I
by
thought
it.
your hair looks great now, man.
Yeah.
So so he's at the hospital again with his friend, and his friend says that he's going to Disney World with the help of an organization, and it was likely the early days of Make-A-Wish, which I thought was, kind of cool.
I
And
worked at Disney at both coasts for a while, and we definitely had more than a few Make-A-Wish kids come in and out, and it's rough. It's rough to
um,
see.
yeah, I can imagine. So the next scene, we're back at the snow cone stand. There's many in the snow cone stand, and this is John's second summer of working at the snow cone stand. And Joey's there, and Joey says that he wants to help Mark and collect some money. And John says, well, Dad can't really afford, he's got a family to feed. So, well, I already got $25 from Dad, which in today's world, probably like $150 is, well, I'm asking for you is $10. So, uh, Joey's a little good at this fundraising thing. So at home, mom is chasing Joey, trying to get something from him, and you don't know what it is. And it's something that he wants to show John, and mom is so uptight about it. And then we find out that his friend's brother bought the annual preseason Playboy magazine football preseason thing and thought John's picture would be in that he'd be a preseason All America because you get your picture in Playboy. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it was a big deal at one time.
Look,
And
Mom, I'm in Playboy.
yeah, so Joey tells mom, I don't care about the naked ladies. I want to see the picture of John. And John says, I'm not in there. And mom says, how do you know you're not in there? So, because nobody took my picture for it. So Joey says, okay, well, we need to get back
They
at those.
did do a nice spread in Playgirl, though.
He was all over Hustler,
Oh yeah.
and he made two adult films. So everybody's all American. Sorry, John Cappelletti. So anyway, um, so Joey tells him, well, we got to get back at those jerks who didn't vote you for an All American. We're going to get back because you're going to win the Heisman. Like, oh, yeah, whatever. So then we have another game montage of John's senior season, and he's having a great season. And there's a scene he's in the locker room, and
Wait, wait,
his
wait. Hold on. Hold on. During this montage, sister-in-law says, Michael, one of the other unimportant brothers, has enrolled and is was playing on the freshman team. And I'm like, but nobody liked Michael. In fact, when he entered the room, they spat at him.
was that the Steve Gutenberg character, Michael?
It might have been. There was,
Yes,
I
yes.
think, three of older ones. Okay, okay.
And if you've seen Steve Gutenberg, you will know that he didn't play any college football. Hey, Bing Bong. Bing Bong's back. So next thing they're in the locker room, and his linebacker friend is teasing Joey, and Joe Paterno tells John that Joey is looking better, and which is kind of nice, the coach telling him that. So next thing they're at home, and sister says, "You want to?" He's kind of waiting for the bus, I guess. Bing Bong, stop it! Come here, sit in my lap. Sit in my lap. Sit in. You always have to be on camp. You cannot go back there. You're gonna knock stuff down. Come here. There
Hi,
you.
Ping Pong.
He's my buddy. He's my buddy. So at home, his sister, he's waiting for the bus, and his sister asks him if he wants to uh, play a card game. I don't remember, cribbage or something. And Joey snaps at his sister, and mom tells Joey that she will pick him up after school and take him to the hospital. And Joey says, "Don't bother. I'm not going to be there." Whoa. Okay. So anyway, mom does pick Joey up from school and he's there. So we know that Joey's a damn liar at this time. And Joey wonders why he's going to
And
the
that is why God gave him cancer.
hospital.
I've solved it.
So so anyway, Joey wonders why he is going to the hospital when he's not sick, which is a perfectly legitimate question that a kid's going to ask. I don't feel bad. Why am I going to the hospital?
Yeah.
So then they say that they can't go to Saturday's game because they're playing Air Force Academy, which is in Colorado, and they're in Pennsylvania, so it's too long of a drive. So they'll be going to the next home game. Uh, but they did say after the game in Colorado that John's going to be coming home for Joey's birthday, and he asked Joey, "What do you want for your birthday? I don't haven't had time to get you a gift." And Joey says, "I want you to score 4 touchdowns the next game." And John says, "I will." Bing bong, stop. If I didn't spoil the cats, this wouldn't happen. So anyway,
Now, what did you immediately think of?
when Bing Bong was doing that,
No, when he asked to get 4 touchdowns.
oh, Babe Ruth,
Well, yes, but I was thinking of the SNL
the
sketch
SNL skit, yeah.
with little Garrett Morris.
Babe's trying to hit a home run for a little
Oh
dying kid. I'm dying. Okay, so John says that he will score 4 touchdowns. And after 3 touchdowns in this game, Coach Paterno takes him out of the game. But then his linebacker friend explains to the coach, "Hey, you need to put John back in because he promised Joey 4 touchdowns." So the coach puts him back in, scores the first, scores the fourth touchdown, and I have in my notes he did it a la Babe Ruth. So after the
And
game,
Lou Gehrig did it too.
okay. So at the birthday party, Joey gets a jersey from, or yeah, at the birthday party after the game, Joey gets a jersey from Joe Paterno with his name on it. Pretty cool. And John carries Joey up to bed. And Joey asks John, "Do I have leukemia?" And Vince cries again. And John says, "Yes." So Joey asks John if he could score another 4 touchdowns next week.
Now, does this imply that they never told him what was wrong with him?
Yes.
Because
That
that's not good. I understand this was a different time, but I really think honesty, like pure transparency, is the best way to go in this situation. But that's just me. Just seems kind of wrong not to tell the child what's wrong with him, why he has to go to the hospital so much.
well, it could have been a situation where they were waiting for him to ask because if you maybe tell them too soon, that could confuse them. I don't know. I was very little at that time and I wasn't Italian, so I don't know. Even though my name's Vince, I'm not Italian, so sorry.
And he's still bitter about it.
Yes. So at the next game, John does it again. He scores 4 touchdowns. And in the locker room, there's reporters are asking, "Do you think the Penn State is number one?" And John said, "We may be. Who knows? Just know whenever we play someone, they're in for a game." So then Joey, when the reporters leave, he asks John if he can do it again. And John says, "Forget it."
Right? That was funny.
Yeah. And so he didn't do it again the next game. He only had 3 touchdowns. That's 11 touchdowns in 3 games. On any level of football, that's a heck of an accomplishment. So the next thing they're at home, and we find out that John has made the All-American teams and that he's a Heisman candidate. And they're getting ready to eat. Joey says he doesn't feel like eating and he's sick to his stomach. And mom tells Joey that John will drive home tomorrow. Um, Next thing they're at the hospital, and John comes because Joey wants to introduce him to his friend who went to Disney World and all that other stuff. But his friend's not there. So he asks the nurse, "Hey, where's so and so, my friend?" And then he introduces the nurse to his brother John. And so she talks to John
Yeah, the
privately.
nurse passes off all responsibility of this conversation.
Yeah. So she tells John that Joey's friend passed away. So John tells Joey that his friend is dead. So very sad.
Yeah, when you take the sick kid to Disney, there's not much time left. I've learned that from movies.
Next thing, we're back at home, and Joey is on the couch with a fever. And uh, the daughter tells the mom is upset. And while they're outside talking about this, the phone rings, and Joey's like, "Someone answer the phone." So no one's answered the phone. So Joey gets up and he answers the phone, and he comes out of the house screaming that his brother is calling from Penn State, and that um, John has won the Heisman, and the family's just ecstatic. There's a really cool scene. The dad is at work. He's got a little transistor radio on his belt listening, and he finds out that his son won the Heisman. So he walks up to his boss and says, "I think I'd like to have the rest of the day off." I said, "Oh, is everything okay?" He said, "Well, my son just won the Heisman." They're all so
Yeah, that was sweet.
it is a big deal. Um, so they're at their house that day having kind of an impromptu party with reporters and everything because you're in a small town and your favorite child has won the Heisman. And so while they're having this party, the phone rings and it's John, and mom gets on the phone, dad gets on the phone, and he tells dad, "You're gonna have to wear a tux." And the family's invited to come to the ceremony. And John said, "Joey will have to come." They said, "No, he's got a fever." And Joey is standing there, and mom puts her hand on his head. Miraculously, Joey doesn't have a fever anymore. I don't
That's
know if
the
that was
power of
hyperbole
football.
or what. Yeah.
Yeah.
So John came home to rest before the ceremony, and Joey is kind of doing the little brother, "I'm going to agitate you" thing when they want attention. Um, and Joey keeps bothering John while John's trying to read a book for an assignment. And I got here, Joey's just being a little spoiled bitch at this point. And finally,
Just
John
being a
yells,
normal kid. They
"Yeah,
just
yeah,
they blather on and you have to be patient and pretend to be interested sometimes.
you don't."
You
And it's like,
do.
"The heck are you talking? Who are you? What is your name again? And why do I keep feeding you?" Stuff like that. So John yells at Joey as dad walks in, and dad says, "Can't blame you, John, but there are new meds that he's taking that is making him act out a little bit." So John goes to speak to Joey and apologizes and asks Joey if they're still friends. And Joey goes, "No, no." Joey says, "Yeah, we're still friends, whatever."
Oh, also, they have two TVs in this house in the 70s. Fancy that.
At the end of the 70s, we had two TVs in our house.
What?
Yeah, a black and white one in the living room, and I got a color one in the living room when we bought it, and mom gave me the old black and white one to have in my room so I could watch my sports.
Well, lucky you.
I couldn't tell which team was which because everything was in black and white, but man, watch my sports in there. But anyway, next thing the family is packing to go to New York, and Joey is crying from pain, and mom tells dad that they were wrong to put him through so much, and they cry. They arrive in New York. Joey is not in a good mood. And his brother, Steve Gutenberg, has his second line. He is writing John's speech for
Yeah, I
him.
love that. He had to write the speech for him.
Yeah, his brother's a football player, though. Right, Miss Beats, So
Yep.
anyway,
Thanks. I throw ball good. Good night.
no, he runs ball. He don't throw ball.
Thanks. I run ball good. Bye.
They're talking about the vice president is going to be at this ceremony, which means this is the early 70s, which means either Spiro Agnew or Gerald Ford's going to be there. It's like, yeah, who cares? Or possibly Nelson Rockefeller, because there was that couple year period where Ford was president. Rockefeller was his vice president. Anyway,
There was a Rockefeller as vice president. I never realized that.
for like 2 years, yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Well, if
uh,
Ford was there, he would have, tripped on the way to the stage.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, so they're at the ceremony and they're talking about how it's all a bunch of celebrities and athletes and politicians and stuff, and that's what the Heisman ceremony is like.
Yeah, I did note when sister-in-law's narrating, she said celebrities were everywhere. And I wrote, but we couldn't afford them, so just take our word for it. They're totally here.
So we're at the ceremony and they're doing the presentation of the Heisman, and John gets up to speak and he thanks his mom and dad, thanks his family, and then he starts talking about Joey, and this is where I really teared up. And he's saying, that people say I'm brave. He said, I'm brave when I'm on a football field. I'm courageous then, but other than that, I'm just a guy. And my brother Joey, he's what courage really is. He goes through this leukemia. He's been doing it for years, all these procedures, and he's crying. And then he says that I'm gonna cry. He says that he wants to dedicate this Heisman Trophy to his brother, and then he says, "I want to give the trophy to my brother." And he stops the speech and he's crying, and everybody's clapping. And Joey asks Dad what happened, and Dad said, "John just gave you his trophy." And Joey says, "But it's his." And he says, "No, he wants you to have it." So then a minister gets up to give a benediction, but he says there's no need because John's actions kind of displayed what a benediction's all about. And so at the end, there a reporter's asking Joey what you're going to do with the trophy, and he says he's going to put the trophy next to his Little League Courageous trophy, and which I thought was cute. Then John comes down from the stage, and he and Joey hug, and I cry. And then in the closing deal, they said that Joey died April 8th, 1976. And that's when the movie ended. So by the time I started watching football, um, which would have been about 77, 78, certainly Joey had been passed away by the time I started watching John Cappelletti play for the Rams. But like I said, I didn't know anything about it till the
Um,
movie.
I I do want to say I understand that both of these things really happened, so I can't say one of them was a ripoff, but I'm watching this scene and I'm like, I've seen this before. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
This is how Brian's song ended.
Oh, yeah.
Uh uh Gail Sayers gets up, gives a speech because he won a football award, talks about how much he loves Brian Piccolo, and then Brian Piccolo dies the end.
Okay.
I could not help but real think about how similar those scenes were.
No, I think that they kind of ripped it off. I think I don't know if there was really a Joey. I don't know if I ever watched a guy named John Cappelletti. I don't know. Now you've gaslighted me. I don't know what's going on here. So anyway, that's something for Joey. Tabitha, you gonna give this a classic or a trash it?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me feel like an asshole. I'll give it a classic. I have to. A child died.
I'm
But
gonna
I
give it a
think
trash it. No.
I do think Brian's song is a better movie.
Oh yeah, people remember Brian's song. Nobody remembers this.
Yeah.
Um, I will give it a classic too. It's if you're into sports and you're into true life stuff, it does tug at the heartstrings, and it's
Yes.
it's it's not poorly written. It flows nicely, which we've already talked about. A lot of TV movies are kind of choppy. This one has a nice flow to it. Um, and the acting's not that bad because when you got an Oscar winner and two-time nominee, one-time winner, um, the mother has a huge part in this, even though she's 74 at
Yeah.
this time. The acting's really good in this.
That I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, nobody was phoning it in or nobody everybody was good. The
Yeah,
kid was really good.
Steve Guttenberg was great in Police Academy. Um, do you think that I saw the original airing of this? I saw a rebroadcast of this, or if this was the first time I've seen something for Joey?
Rebroadcast.
I saw the original.
No
So
kidding.
no kidding.
Hmm.
Um, my sisters used to watch. I would watch what they would watch, and so they're watched it. And I watched it, and I was very sad. And then the next day, a couple of my friends were talking. Did you see that movie last night? Something for Joey? Yeah, gosh, man. Yeah. So, and that was about the time really started watching NFL football. Oh gosh, it's a real guy, you know.
Hmm.
Oh, he's a real boy, not made of wood. So anyway, um, Tabitha, what are we going to talk about next week?
Well, we're gonna jump ahead again, but I already had your permission to do this. Where are you? There you are. We are gonna watch another based on a true story about the rise and fall of the 60s prefab band, the Monkees, called Daydream Believers.
Where
This was a cable movie. It aired on VH1, but it's a TV movie. You and I have a long history with the Monkees, so we're going to talk about it.
and where can we watch this besides at your house on the DVD player?
It's on Tubi. I believe it's on Prime or Plex, one of those, but it is on Tubi.
Okay, very good. Well, Tabitha, you have a good week, and next week we'll watch the monkeys. And between your dog and my cat, we actually made it through this episode. So very
Yep.
good. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.